Hello! Welcome to Hashtag Insane Friends.
Just as I was picking my nose, thank you.
Hello! Welcome to Hashtag Insane Friends.
Hi, how's it going?
If
Nothing
you are
happening.
watching the replay,
I
or
don't
if
see
you...
nothing going on there.
There it is. Hello! Welcome to Hashtag Insane Friends.
No.
It's Wednesday night and we're back. We're back in the saddle again.
No, we're not. I'm
Back
not
in
here.
the saddle again.
This
Okay,
is the...
so we're back in black.
It's hot.
It is very hot in here. We're in the midst of some air conditioning
We are
repair.
not going to be doing this very long today.
So, a lot of you have already been here. If you're a first timer here, well, you're going to get some information too. We'll explain. We a lot of times have guests on the show where we feature their channel or their business, whatever. But tonight we're going to go over a subject that's dear to my heart.
Whoa.
And we have talked a lot about some of the things
that's not good.
we have talked about a lot of the things that we do that makes money, and a lot of the businesses that we're into, which include, of course, the eBay store, all our other online sales, our things like our YouTube and our affiliate links, and her insurance sales, and on and on. But one thing we haven't really touched on here, the one thing that actually has made me more money this year than all those other things combined, is our real estate. And the deal that we were looking at yesterday, it brought to the front of my mind several things that you need to look out for if you're going to be doing things without having to learn the hard way like I did over the years. And I say the hard way, but I still managed to make money off of every deal that I did, even though I made a lot of mistakes. So, but what I learned from all those things were several mistakes that I did not make on this property. And one of them was a very good rule that transcends all different industries, and that is to know when to say no and to know when to pass on a deal. And so this deal, oh, and by the way, we usually shout out all of the Hashtag Insane Friends and their lives during the week.
I'm
near
not
the front of the
finding
show.
a live here.
But you can find all that, all the other lives.
I can't get in.
Okay, you're not seeing it there?
No.
All the other lives and the list of everybody that's going live on behalf of the Hashtag Insane Friends on our Sane Auto Facebook page. It says we're offline right now. I don't know why. Stream complete. I hope it's coming back. Stream resumed. Maybe we'll pop up there. Video output low.
Nope.
Yeah, well, complete, yeah. We're going to have to write down the number for Windstream for you for tomorrow, so when you're in the office, you can please call Windstream and give them an earful, because our bandwidth is way too low.
Nope.
Okay, well, about this real estate deal. Now, one of the real estate...
Oh.
What do you find there? Oh, you were on the wrong page. Yeah, that's why you couldn't find us. Yeah. The real estate agent that I usually deal with in the area where this building is. Now, I'm not going to be able to give up. I don't want to hurt this guy that's trying to sell his place. So I'm not going to give any specifics exactly where it's at or which real estate agent I'm dealing with here that brought me this. And I also don't want to, this is another good rule that's on all real estate and other businesses. When people are bringing you leads and stuff, if the deal is not really a deal, never give them flack about it, because you don't want them to start deciding what is a deal for you and what is not a deal for you. You want them to just keep bringing you whatever they think is a deal, and be, what is the word I'm looking for? Grateful
I don't
for
have
it.
a blue wrench on
And show
this
gratitude for it.
channel.
Because you want them to bring you more and more deals. If you make them start hesitating by, getting attitude about something they brought to you that's not really a deal for you, then they may be hesitant to bring you something that on the surface looks like not a deal for you, but there's extenuating circumstances that you could, do this or that, and it actually make you money.
How are you?
So, be that as it may,
Awesome.
what that means is, of course, I looked at, he emailed me the specifics on the property. I right away saw some things I didn't like about the property. I knew there was no way I was going to give any kind of offer on this property at all. But I was very careful about how I was going to tell the realtor about it, because I don't want him hesitating to bring me more. Oh, my audio's out of sync though. Wow.
I don't know. Is this? I don't know.
Our bandwidth is really low. I apologize, guys. Our bandwidth is really low right now. We're going to have to call our service provider tomorrow, because our bandwidth is, instead of getting better, it's gotten worse. And we're receiving letters like this saying that, newer, higher,
And
free upgrades to
I'm
higher internet
completely
speed.
kicked out. What the heck?
So, but the point is that the first thing that I didn't like about this property, this deal that the real estate agent brought to me, was the location. And you know the old saying in real estate, location, location, location. So, and I didn't like the location. What I didn't like about the location is the last two commercial properties that I owned were very close to a 4-lane highway main road frontage, but not quite on the main road. And that turned out to be problematic for some of my tenants. Other tenants, it made no difference at all. It was because it was close to some very large employers that had lots and lots of high-paid employees. And this property that he sent me was not only further away from the main road, but it was not in the path of one of those large employers, much less in the path of two of them. So I didn't quite go over that much with him, because that would have wasted his time, and his time is very valuable, and I appreciate him bringing me the deal at all. But that wasn't the only problem. The other problem was that the property was in a flood zone, which means that for putting tenants in there or for resale, you obviously have some problems with people being reluctant to rent your place if it's in the flood zone, even if it's just barely on the edge of the flood zone.
Because they need flood insurance, and flood insurance is very expensive.
And they could be worried about their inventory, and if there is a flood, they miss a day or two of being able to have customers come in there. And certain customers will avoid flood areas altogether and not shop there.
Whoa.
So that was 2 deal killers right there. The third thing was that it was way overpriced, which we could have got around that, because a lot of people overprice their places, and you nearly never know if you're gonna get a deal until you give them some kind of offer and see whether they're negotiable or not. But I didn't want to make an offer at all on this place because I was afraid that no matter how low I went, he might actually take it. That's another sign right there for every real estate deal that you're thinking about doing, and any other business too. You want to buy low and sell high. If you're, just wait for the stream to come back. So if you're of the state of mind that you're afraid to make an offer on something because you're afraid they might take it, there's the biggest red flag that could go off in your head. Just don't make any offer at all. Don't do it at all. Now, another thing that was wrong with this property was I felt sorry for the owner. The more I looked at the property, the more I felt like, they should have noticed these warning signs. They shouldn't have, because the owner the place looked really good. It was fixed up really nice, and the owner had obviously spent a lot of time and money fixing up the property and had more money in it than he could ever get out of it. And I felt sorry for him. If you feel sorry for a seller, it's a bad deal to get into, because you're probably going to pay more for it than you should. If you feel like you've got any kind of emotion involved in a deal, and it doesn't even have to be real estate. It could be you're out there buying inventory for some other type of business. But if you're in the buying situation, any kind of business, and you start feeling like you've got emotion involved in it, get out of the deal. Don't do the deal, because you will overpay, and then whatever their problems are become your problems.
So, how is everybody today? Hope everybody is doing wonderfully.
So there was a fourth thing. The fourth thing that I didn't like about this property, and I would recommend you steer away from, was that in looking at the neighborhood, you had commercial, residential, commercial, residential, commercial, residential. And I mean, it literally was stacked that way, just alternating between commercial and residential. There's very few neighborhoods I've seen that were that mixed up. When you watch videos about growing your YouTube channel and things like that, they talk a lot about consistency. Well, that is a very powerful thing in any type of business, any type of growth, anything you do. You've got to have consistency. In that neighborhood, what I saw was a lot of inconsistency with whether the neighborhood was a commercial neighborhood or a residential neighborhood, or a commercial street or residential street. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a neighborhood with lots of residential and some commercial sprinkled in it here and there, or commercial properties placed in it here and there strategically. and it be a mixed neighborhood like that, but you don't want a street that's like commercial, residential, commercial, residential, commercial, residential. This a street like that, that's not good. Now, if it's a big main road and everything's right on the main road, and it's clear that the main road is transitioning from residential to commercial, and that is the trend, and things are getting replaced, all the residential is getting replaced with commercial, that might actually be a reason to go in and invest in that neighborhood. But it's a neighborhood that's been that way for quite a while.
It's still here.
Yeah, but you're behind. That's what we did a few minutes ago.
You make a funny faces.
Yeah, I'm still talking over there. So if it's a neighborhood that's been commercial, residential, commercial, residential, commercial, residential for a long time, like this neighborhood has, that neighborhood's been like that for 10 or 15 years at least, where it's just doesn't know what it is. It doesn't know if it's commercial. It doesn't know if it's real. If it's residential, it's like a street that can't make up its mind. Then that's not a good place to be in to invest in, whether you're investing in residential or investing in commercial. You just don't want anything on that street. So that was another reason that I noticed that property was a no-go.
Just right here. And
Okay. What I did like about the property, the only thing that I saw about the property that meets my criteria when I'm looking for investment property is that the seller was motivated. The seller was coming down on the price, and the seller was not trying to hide the fact that he was willing to take offers. But the fifth and the final thing that I didn't like about this property, and I suggest you steer away from, is that the seller of the property owed too much money to the bank on the property. He was already upside down to the bank, which, even if you were to give a low enough offer to where you could flip the property or rent the property or whatever, and make both equity and cash flow, he's not going to sell it to you for that kind of money, because he can't, because his back is against the wall. He's already mortgaged the property beyond its actual value. And there's a difference between the kind of value that a bank will loan money on and the actual value. A lot of people think that they can go, it's very safe to go out and not do their due diligence and not look at these kind of things and just go ahead and make deals to buy property. They think, when they're borrowing the money, because they think that the bank is going to not loan them the money if they're overpaying. That is absolutely not true. That's a fantasy. The banks will loan you too much money to overpay for a property, depending on what your credit is and what your income is and things like that. And
it is common practice, if you buy a home, that they loan you another $5,000-$10,000 to fix it.
Yep. They'll loan you not only what the property's worth on paper, which is not necessarily reality, but a little bit of extra money on top of that if you say it's for putting that money into the property, even if the neighborhood does not support that amount of money per square feet in that property. You
Now,
can
why
get,
would that happen, Victor? Is that because the banks are so good and kind-hearted?
No, it's because they want to make money too. And they look at statistics, and the banks looking at the statistics know that even if you overpay for a property, you're still going to put down a down payment on it, and you're still going to make at least a certain amount of payments before you default. And usually you'll pay the property down to or below its market value before you default on the loan, if you default on the loan at all. And that's the big kicker right there. A certain amount of people never default on the loan when they buy a home or a commercial property, and the bank sees that as a big win if they overloan on a property and if you overpay on a property, because they're get to charge interest on every bit of that money you pay for that property. They also get to charge points and other things. They call it different names up front, which are essentially fees on that money that they loaned you. And so they make a pretty good $2,000 or $3,000 right up front on that loan that they give you. And the more money they loan you, the more money they make. So, and then they could turn around and sell that loan to somebody else, and then they don't even have the risk anymore. They made a certain amount of money. I mean, every loan that I've had got sold 2 or 3 times.
And what happens if you default on the loan, Victor?
Then, if they've already sold that loan to somebody else, they ain't got to worry about that. If you do default on the loan and you have already, your chances are you've already paid enough on that loan to where they're at break even or make money point, because they take that property and then they resell it for whatever you owe. Now, this person has got so much money in that property that if the bank takes that property at this point, they are not going to get, the bank's not going to get all of its money back. And so, but that is a small percentage of the foreclosures that the banks do. That's probably 1 out of 1,000 foreclosures, and the other 999 foreclosures that they do, the property is actually worth more than what's left on the loan. And that's another reason why you should say,
by law, the bank can only sell the property for what they're owed?
no. As a matter of fact, if this guy had paid the loan down to say where he only owed $50,000, and the guy's asking $170,000 for this property. Let's say he only owed $50,000. He had been paying down on it, and he only owed $50,000, and the bank could only get $60,000 for the property. Then, when the bank sells that property, if they get $60,000, the guy only owes $50,000. There's $10,000 left over. The bank actually makes another $10,000 on that. Now, if the guy goes and gets a lawyer or whatever, and he knows his rights and he gets a lawyer, he could go get that other $10,000, or at least a portion of it, from the bank, but he won't ever know. And so the bank will just keep that money. And there's actually a whole industry of people that make phone calls, and they don't do it on what the banks do. See, that's another thing. They do it on when the government takes properties for tax liens, and they sell the properties for more than what the taxes are. And the same thing happens, say, if somebody owes $10,000 worth of taxes on their property, and then the government sells that on the courthouse steps for $50,000, then there's $40,000 left over that the government's got. The owner that lost that property not only doesn't know when or if the property was sold, but they don't know how much the property was sold for. They have no idea there's $40,000 laying around that they could go claim, and if they did, they don't know how to go claim it. And they would have to hire a lawyer for that. And chances are, if they lost their property because they couldn't pay the property taxes, they ain't got money to hire a lawyer either. So there's a whole bunch of people in real estate that have made a really good business out of finding out what these properties are, what the difference is on the money is, and then trying to track down owners that have the ability or the potential to collect some of this money from the government. And there's people that teach how to do this. Of course, you got to pay for those courses and stuff. And I've never done it myself, so I don't know how involved it is, how many hours of work you'd put in for how many dollars you would get. And I'm not sure how the people who put these people together get any kind of commission or anything out of it. But I imagine that you could do something similar with the bank foreclosures. But the traditional way to make money off of bank foreclosures is to find the bank foreclosures that the people are either, this one's pre-foreclosure, either pre-foreclosure or post-foreclosure, where the people are not over are not, what is the term I'm looking for? They're not invested in the property way above its value. But there's no equity in this property, not just because the guy has got too much money in it and the bank's got too much money in it. Which doesn't mean that the bank won't sell it for less when it goes into post foreclosure. After they take it from this guy, they may be willing to sell it at a loss. But I still don't want it because I don't foresee being able. I don't foresee it me being able to get a tenant in it. I don't see.
It's a pretty building, but.
Yeah, but it's in the wrong location for anybody that I know that would want to. I don't know anyone that would want to put their business there.
And it's too small.
Yeah, it's too small for most of the people that I know. For a commercial property that would want to put their business there. Now, if it was that size and part of a larger building, like in a shopping center, then yeah, I know people, and right on a main road, I know people that would want to occupy a space that size as part of a shopping center, because people with smaller businesses that size, they want to be in like a shopping center or something with other small businesses, so that when their neighbor gets some traffic, it walks right past their place. When they get traffic, they walk past the neighbors, and they've got that cooperation going, helping get.
I'm going to have to go because my back is not letting me sit.
Helping get more foot traffic for everybody in the shopping center.
Okay guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to leave you guys. I am having issues with, what is the name of it? The back thing?
Yeah, your sciatic nerve.
My sciatica. I'm having sciatica. So I am unable to sit for long periods of time. And I'm starting to hurt a little bit right now. So I'm going to tell you guys goodbye and have a great week. And I will see you this weekend. Maybe.
We're also roasting in here because the central air is out right now, and we had to order a part, and it won't be here till Friday. So,
bye. I'm sorry. Have a great week. Oh, I guess I'm pretty sure it will. They gave me muscle relaxers, and they gave me steroids, and they gave me anti-inflammatories, and they loaded me up with stuff. I took the first day's worth. I've been out of work 2.5 days, basically 3 days with this thing in the last 2 weeks. So it's awful. I don't like taking medicine, but I have to now. And I love you all, guys. You have a great one. Bye bye. Oh, and I went to the gym twice today. Talk to him. He's mean.
Okay, so our last video was on the laptop I'm using right now, a review on that. Our next video is going to be an unboxing and review of a new keyboard and stuff we have. And if we get some feedback in the chat on this, if you're watching the replay on this, I know the video quality is terrible because of the bandwidth. I apologize for that. But if you like the subject matter, if you want to hear more about the real estate deals that we're looking at, then I could make a video on each real estate deal that we evaluate and whether we purchased the property or not, and why we decided to purchase it or to not purchase it. Then I could start making videos on that and put it here on the St. Enterprises channel and share with y'all what we're doing in real estate and the properties that we're looking at and what we're finding out on those, as well as doing the reviews of the electronics that we use and the other stuff we do on this channel, the sales, business, and management. Just put something in the chat about that if you want to see more about real estate. And at this point, we'd like to hear from you guys. What's going on with your channel, what you put up last, and what you're planning on putting up this next week. And I think we have, well, 3 people watching. But RPM, Reviewing, Playing, and More is here. And the Carol Sane channel is here. So, Reviewing, Playing, and More RPM, I know he has lots of computer stuff on his channel. He's very knowledgeable in computer repairs and upgrades, that sort of thing. And he has lots of reviews on lots of really good computers and computer accessories, everything down to and including the cabinets, the cooling systems, the motherboards, all that kind of good stuff. The Carol Sane channel, you will find family-friendly stuff like reading books for the kids, showing them some of the plants and stuff native here to the Appalachian Mountains. And Dennis at Reviewing, Playing, and More RPM says he's going on vacation, so I uploaded another dash cam video. It's going live on Saturday at 8:15 p.m. Now I'm assuming that is the Eastern Standard Time because he's in Canada, but he's on the East Coast with us here. And after that, back to more computer things. Very good. We all need to learn more about computer things because we're all doing things on the computers. I'm learning more about, with doing the editing on the Sane Auto page, since we have hundreds of videos over there, and every one of those videos I've edited myself. Around 500-600 videos so far. That's a lot of, but most of those were done with an earlier editing software. The last 100 or so videos I did with DaVinci Resolve, and I've been doing DaVinci Resolve 16 lately. I've learned a lot about that, and my editing is getting better. So I have put a couple of how-to videos on editing with DaVinci Resolve here on the Sane Enterprises channel. I will probably put another couple more videos up there in the next month or two on the editing. Okay, it's actually a 4K action camera, not a dash cam that Dennis is using. So that's going to be some really good high quality footage. And I'm going to wrap this up. It was great hanging out with you guys, but I am about to melt. I've got to go get in front of a fan. It's hard to run a fan and do a live at the same time because y'all wouldn't be able to hear anything I'm saying. For some reason, these microphones, if you have any kind of fan going, it really covers up everything. A lot of white noise. So thank you for being here, and remember, till the next video, don't be a victim, be a victor. And we're wishing you hashtag insane growth for all our hashtag insane friends. You can find us on Facebook. What? You can find us on Facebook on our Sane Auto Facebook page or our Sane Enterprises Facebook page, both of which we allow you to put your video links on. So if you want to get more views to your videos, go to our Sane Enterprises page or go to our Sane Auto Facebook page and drop a link to your video, and we'll try to help you get more views.